Hey there guys, Octavian here. Right off the bat, I would like to apologize. This replay was a little bit buggy. I managed to get it to run without any visual or game-breaking bugs, but the audio did not play correctly. There was a lot of very loud, jarring sounds happening all the time, so I've simply deleted the audio from this clip. I apologize for that, and we'll be getting into the replay proper now. This one was sent in to me by the man on the screen right now, though the camera did just swap away as I said that. It was Dippen playing the fiddlesticks, and he actually has a YouTube channel of his own where he uploads some fairly great League of Legends content, so his link will be in the description, and you should certainly go and check that out at some point in the future, or perhaps the present, though I prefer you stay and watch my video. That might be a little bit greedy. Trinity Force, that is a wonderful name. Janna in the jungle here going after E-Teach. He gets snared up. He did throw the shadow forward. He's going to swap two at the last second there. He's exhausted, but he's forced to flash away as Lux is going to flash after him. The auto attack, though, not going to bring him down. He had a health pot running, and he manages to survive. And now Caitlyn is trying to turn this around, getting snared up by the Lux, though, and Vel'Koz is turning back around, but Lux is incredibly squishy, getting burned down by this Caitlyn. She has a headshot ready. She's going to flash forward and fire it off. First blood goes over to Caitlyn. We have action already. Just nearly 2 minutes into the game here. As, one kill now on blue team. That's what first blood does. Then, speaking of blue team, they also have a ward at the enemy team's red buff, so they're going to know where this Fiddlesticks is starting. Not that it's usually that much of a mystery with a Fiddlesticks jungle. Starting blue buff is fairly standard on Fiddle, regardless of which side of the map he's on, because Drain allows him to sustain enough out of the jungle that he doesn't need the solid leash that bot lane can give, though this time he still got it, simply because blue happened to be on the correct side of the map for that. So, yeah, Fiddlesticks generally starting as blue buff, but we have a few things to talk about in terms of matchups in this game. We've got a Rammus top lane. Now, that one's one I haven't seen too much before. I somewhat like the pick here, actually, because if you look across the board at blue team, they've got a Zed, Aurelia, Caitlyn, and Kha'Zix for damage, and none of these things have magic damage. All of these champions all have very much physical damage, and that Rammus is going to be very hard for them to deal with, as we already see up in the top lane. Yertle the Turtle, another great name. This game has some pretty great names in it. Yertle the Turtle being brought down fairly low, taunted back into the minion wave, and that is the power of a Rammus in lane. If you just ignore him, he'll just pull you back into his own minion wave, and have them do his damage for him early on, and Lord Kivarn caught out a little bit. Thankfully, Thresh had skilled up Dark Passage level 2, so he was able to pull his friendly Caitlyn out of trouble there. As we see, actually, Fiddlesticks is counter-jungling right now, if you looked out on the minimap. Kha'Zix is nowhere to be found, at least not on that side of the map, so he's going to be able to get away with it, but that's an interesting play. I didn't expect that. You know what else I didn't expect? Trinity Force playing the AD Janna, getting hooked in, knocking out both members of the enemy team, maybe going to survive here. The Ignite is ticking down, and the Piltover Peacemaker misses, as now Dippen is coming around from that Golem buff that he was, or Golem camp, rather, that he was stealing away, and picks himself up. Easiest double kill any Fiddlesticks ever did take. That is 2-1 now in terms of, in favor of purple team. Virtuous Vigor going in onto Yertle the Turtle up in the top lane, taunting him back into the minion wave once more, and really doing a lot of work. This lane Rammus is turning into a fairly nice pick here against Aurelia. Aurelia's going to be alright. She's not getting entirely shut down. She has 11 CS to 17 here. There's the 12th, but she gets taunted back in the minion wave after Blade surging forward. She turns around at Equilibrium Strike, and that is the end of the fight. Rammus getting stunned up, Aurelia simply walking away. And both of them have those Doran Shield to regen, though Aurelia does have a bit more sustain in her kit, but it seems like Rammus has been winning the trades here. E-Teach going in onto Cormans, there's the Ignite, burning! The Shuriken lands at the very edge of its range, and the counter Ignite is not going to burn him down. He will be perfectly fine, if a little bit low on health. And Yertle the Turtle now in trouble, turns around with the stun onto Virtuous Vigor, and he doesn't want to chase back through that huge minion wave. And Dippen was trying to make something happen in the middle lane on that Fiddlesticks, but couldn't quite catch up to him. And there's Flay coming back onto the Lux here. The hook very nicely comboed immediately afterwards to hold her in place, and she gets traded down to half health. But those auto attacks from Janna are actually hurting quite a bit, because something I haven't mentioned yet, except for in passing once, this is an AD carry Janna. Just let that sink in for a moment. That is a marksman Janna. Now, up in the top lane, we have Virtuous Vigor getting ganked here. Ooh, the flash forward goes in with the Blade Surge. Equilibrium Strike to slow up under the tower, and the Aurelia manages to escape from the tower damage as well, though Fiddlesticks is nearby. He's coming up past his Golem buff, if you look down at the minimap there, to try and chase one of the two low-health members of Purple Team and Blue Team out up there, and looks like he's found Kha'Zix next to his Golem camp. But those moldy bananas coming out of his sickle not really going to be too effective against Kha'Zix, and I apologize, I forgot to arrange the champions in the correct order at the beginning of this, so I'm just arranging them down at the bottom of the screen there. Don't let that distract you. As we see, down in bottom lane, Thresh and Caitlyn are going for the fight here. The exhaust is dropped back onto the Caitlyn as she nets backwards, slowing out Trinity Force and making it a bit harder for that Janna to escape, as Thresh is still holding up the front line here. He's going pretty low on health, though, but so is Lux, and so is Janna. Everybody down at a quarter or less health, and everybody backs off. And you know, I really don't know what to talk about in terms of AD carry Janna. It's a little bit out of left field here. The snare lands onto the Caitlyn, and the knock-up going to be securing the kill for Lux, actually, rather than Janna, which I don't really know what to talk about with this bottom lane, because all of my assumptions are just thrown out the window. Meanwhile, up in top lane, we have Yertle the Turtle going onto the Virtuous Vigor. He's playing Ram as he turns it back around with the Powerball, and Yertle the Turtle has no mana left. So Vigor's going to be able to turn back around and fight this out, and I realize that is confusing when I say Vigor, because it's not actually Vigor, that's his name. He's just playing Rammus, but he's called Vigor, and that's something that's going to be difficult for me to wrap my head around in these quick-fire exchanges here in the top lane. Cannon minion secured. That nearly went down to minions. That would have been a little bit depressing for the Rammus. But while we have a moment of quiet, I would like to look at some of the builds. I'm not really quite sure what to make of the Janna's build. That is a double Doran's Blade. She is, in fact, going Marksman Janna. So we'll get to see how that formulates throughout the rest of the game. We'll see if Trinity Force does, in fact, build a Trinity Force. It's just such a wonderful name. Ooh, good damage coming back around from the Vel'Koz, and that's a matchup which I can talk about. We have Vel'Koz and Zed in the middle lane. I know those two champions, and they're both being played in roles that aren't incredibly silly. Ooh, Lantern coming in, though. The hook is dodged. Flash away from the Lux. Flash forced, though, for just a Lantern and a hook. That's a perfectly fair trade for the Thresh, and an unfair one for the Lux. Though I suppose it's either fair or unfair. It's not fair. You know what I mean. Yertle the Turtle and Virtuous Vigor going at it again up in the top lane. Well, actually going at each other's minions more like. As I just saw Janna crit, and that was really confusing. There is Lux getting hooked back in, flayed backwards as well, and we have the Fiddlesticks coming in with the Crowstorm behind them as Thresh finishes off Lux under the tower, but Crowstorm is burning, and Dippen gets the kill onto Caitlyn as now Thresh is forced to run back through the tower range to try and escape here. The knockup does hit him just across the edge, and Trinity Force is chasing out Scott 11, trying to bring him down. Flashes forward for the slow. Ooh, gets flayed backwards, though, but does she have a knock-up ready? She's not casting it out, actually. Does right at the end as he hooks to the minions in that jungle camp. The Wraith camp flying away on the end of his hook to safety. Come fly away, Thresh. Fly away to the minion camp and join us in safety, as Dippen is now trying to steal away the red buff. Might be a little bit of an inopportune time to do so. Kha'Zix is around, and so is Caitlyn. That's interesting. Apparently, since he canceled Vision, the animation got a little bit bugged, but there's Kha'Zix getting caught out in the jungle. There's the laser coming across from Vel'Koz. It doesn't burn him down, but next target is Caitlyn. However, Zed is roamed from the middle lane. The Ignite and the Death Mark gonna pop, brings him down in the Dragon Pit as he just swaps back to his shadow immediately thereafter, nonchalantly. Now, Dippen might be in a little bit of trouble, but actually, no, it's Caitlyn who's in trouble. Dippen has a lot of damage, and you can't fight this fight, Kha'Zix. It would be the good fight, but you can't fight it. Maybe you can't even fight this fight. Why are you trying to walk away? Walk away, Kha'Zix. You can't. No, you jumped on him. Oh. Kha'Zix goes down. The Golems claim their first kill of the match. First blood goes over to the neutral monster camp team. Hook flying out. Doesn't quite land onto Lux. And we have another moment to talk about builds. You know how much I love those moments. They're my favorite moments, but maybe we don't actually get it. Yertle the Turtle up in top lane going in onto the Virtuous Vigor under the tower. And you know what? Virtuous Vigor is actually a lot squishier than I anticipated him being. And segueing right into builds, he still has that Doran shield from earlier, of course. And he also has Ninja Tabby, which he upgraded to Home Guards very, very quickly. So, I'm not sure exactly why he did that, honestly. There's not much damage on the turret up here. He didn't need to, like, rush in to defend it, or maybe that's why there's not much damage, because he did rush in to defend it. So he does have that ability to get back to lane very quickly, but he's not as effective in lane as he could be, because that enchantment, that Home Guard enchantment, could have been spent on a health crystal, or could have been spent even on a longsword. I don't know what lane Rammus builds. You're looking at the wrong guy here. I've never actually played a lane Rammus that wasn't silly AP wizard Rammus, which is not good. Don't actually play that. Meanwhile, down in bottom lane, we have a little bit of aggressiveness coming out from the Thresh here. He's playing very up. Got snared earlier, but managed to turn the situation around a little bit. Ooh, he's playing up again. The Flay comes back onto John, Piltover Peacemaker, and the Hook both land one after the other. Trinity Force is going down pretty low. The Ignite, Ace in the hole, going to be blocked up by the Lux, but she still takes a ton of damage from the auto attacks that Caitlyn throws out there. As Yertle the Turtle, now blade surging around, has barely any hit points left, but the ulti going to keep him alive as he runs away, and he manages to escape. Very nice hook. Back onto the Vel'Koz, who's roamed out, and Kha'Zix is roaming as well. He's down here. The exhaust gets dropped onto the Caitlyn to try and save Vel'Koz's life, but it's not going to be enough. Thresh just uses his damage and brings him down, and then Kha'Zix uses his damage and brings down Lux. That was a disastrous fight, and I'm very sorry if you can hear that over at the side. One moment, my apartment is right next to a train station, and it can sometimes get a little bit loud here. I'm going to close the window, just so that you guys don't have to hear that anymore. That's better. I'm sorry about that, as I said. Dragon being started up here by Purple Team. That is the first dragon of the game, and it's going to be going down. They burn it down pretty quickly with that isolation damage from Kha'Zix, and Dippen trying to make something happen to Yertle the Turtle, but he's under the turret. But Virtuous Vigor is around to taunt him backwards, and Yertle the Turtle is burning down, and that is such a fun name to say! He died, but his name is still just as fun. As Lux ult does come across onto the Caitlyn, Trinity Force is trying to turn this back around, trying to make this AD Janna work. It hasn't been too effective so far, but there we see the final little flurry of wind or feather or whatever it is that Janna throws out, bringing down the Thresh. And dare I say that AD carry Janna is starting to come back into her own a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know. Deathmark going down onto the Vel'Koz. Nice knock-up lands on both members of the enemy team chasing after him, but it's not going to be quite enough. A little bit too little too late. However, here's the Home Guards getting cancelled out nearly immediately by the Void Spikes from Kha'Zix, but it was still a valiant effort, and they do manage to chase down the Zed, if not the Kha'Zix, though perhaps actually the Kha'Zix at this point. AD carry Janna is looping around to try and catch him off. There's the knockup. It does land. These auto attacks are chunking a little bit here. Not quite that much, but at least they're doing something. And the kill's going to be going over to the top lane. Rammus' Ace in the hole comes out. Rammus didn't block it. And flash forward from Caitlyn. There's the double kill. And now she's sticking around to fight the Rammus, though that might not be the best decision. He has a lot of tankiness and still a decent amount of damage. On top of that, taunt comes out, but there's the barrier. There's the dark passage for the shield. Can she survive? No! She dies because the head... Oh, God. Caitlyn. Oh, just don't right-click him. She died because her headshot did enough damage that Rammus's damage bounce back ability, the Thornmail-esque ability that he has, threw back enough magic damage at her to kill her because her headshot did enough damage. Crowstorm right in Aurelia's face. Dippen does not care at all. Yertle the Turtle now turning around to Blade Surge back to a minion, and he might actually escape here. He has his ulti burning as well for a little bit of lifesteal off that minion wave, plus the speed buff that he's getting from the Phage for having killed a minion or two there. But Vel'Koz is roaming up from the middle lane and dodges out the tectonic disrupt. Oh, Lord! Over the wall, the Q lands. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that that was on purpose, even though it very well wasn't. Lux coming in there, trying to make something happen to the Thresh. Nice dodges, though. And we should talk about some of the builds here, especially the Thresh's build. That's a Phage. I have no idea what's going on in bottom lane. I just simply don't have a clue. I do know that Zed is down here, though, and he's going with the Death Mark, and that is going to pop, and Lux is going to not be around anymore. She's got an unfortunate time of it so far in the bottom lane. She's 2-5. giving up 4 of those kills over to the Caitlyn and 1 of them over to the Zed, who's 4-1. This Zed is doing quite a bit of work so far. He's looking to go for that Blade of the Ruined King. He's got a Brutalizer for some armor penetration and the boots of mobility to roam with, and Thresh is getting burned down. That is a crit from the marksman Janna, bringing down the Thresh, doing the work there. Now Yertle the Turtle chasing in onto Virtuous Vigor. The slow does not quite land from the Kazakhs, but the slow does land from the Equilibrium Strike. Dashes forward with Blade Surge. There's the Void Spikes to slow him up a little bit more. Q coming out as well from the Kazakhs, but Virtuous Vigor just is so very tanky at this point. He just walked away while tanking all of that continued damage from the jungle and the top lane, and we are 13-13 in kills. I hope you guys are not superstitious, because that is a pair of very unlucky numbers there. And we're gonna say that we're 12-12 in terms of kills, and then once we get another, we'll be 14-14, and we'll pretend that it didn't happen in between. Just like buildings do in the United States sometimes, where they don't have a 13th floor. It just goes 12-14, and it's really dumb and really confusing, and I don't understand why it happens. But Yertle the Turtle is at half health in top lane and doesn't want to be at half health in top lane, so he's going to wander away from the minion wave and then simply head on back to base, or actually maybe not, he's going to stick around actually. I don't know if that's the best decision. Virtuous Vigor has already proved multiple times that he is very willing to taunt that Aurelia back into the minion wave and deal with her there. There's the taunt, there's the defensive ball curl, and the ulti all rolling all at once. Sunfire Cape and Power Ball. Yeah, Yertle the Turtle has nowhere left to go and probably should have headed back to base a little while ago. Rammus, very hard to escape from, gets the kill. Down in bottom lane, though, we have Thresh with the workings of a Trinity Force going in onto Trinity Force, trying to bring him down. He's not caught in the box, though, and there's the ulti from beautiful Zed ult. He's going to go down anyways, but that was just... He dodged out the original cast of the ulti and then was behind the Vel'Koz for the rest of the duration of Vel'Koz's life form disintegration ray. Vel'Koz's purple laser, which would have probably killed him a lot earlier and made it so he couldn't trade back the 1-for-1 kill there. But up in top lane, we have Virtuous Vigor and Temporal Boss having a little bit of a mano-a-mano. Ooh, very nice snare lands onto the Caitlyn, but it's not going to be enough to save Lux's life. The headshot brings her down in the end, and Trinity Force now getting crit, and Janna is incredibly squishy. Yeah, Janna builds full AD, then Janna don't have no hit points, and Janna goes down very quickly. Vel'Koz, though, might want to make somebody of his own go down very quickly. The knockup doesn't land because they don't even try and dodge it, and they don't even try and dodge the Q either. Vel'Koz predicting where they're trying to go, and they outsmart him by not outsmarting him. Meanwhile, in mid lane, we have E-Teach and Dippen going at it. Dippen just channeling his Crowstorm. He doesn't care at all about turrets or nearby enemy champions. Terrorist Boss, that's his name. That's a bit of an unfortunate name. Caught in the bush here a little bit. Flashes away after using his ulti to stay invisible in the bush despite the ward. Very well done. Now Dippen has Drain running onto the Aurelia as Virtuous Vigor is run from the top lane and is bringing down the Kazakhs off to the side. He played so well around that. He juked. He was a virtual jukebox playing your favorite tune, and he still went down in the end because Rammus is very hard to juke, and now E-Teach brings down the Rammus with the death mark. Nearly gets brought down himself, but does, thankfully for him at least, manage to escape. However, the low health Zed and the low health of the death of Kazakhs, really, and the low health of Aurelia does mean that Purple Team's going to be able to go for their second dragon of the game. They did get the earlier one as well, so they did have the exact timer, and they're at it fairly soon after it respawns. There's the smite securing it for Fiddlesticks. And despite the fact that they're 1 down in kills, which really isn't such a huge deficit, they're up in terms of gold by just over 1,500. Trinity Force now pushing up the bottom lane with his Lux support, looking to get that turret down in the bottom. As they do manage to get back to base just as Thresh shows up in the bush. That was a little bit of a clutch moment for the base there. E-Teach and Yertle the Turtle. These names, I would just like, as an aside, to say that some of the names in this game are some of the best names I've casted for yet. Yertle the Turtle is so much fun to say. Also, I just love turtles, I really do. But Yertle the Turtle is a really great name, And I have no idea how this Janna managed to get Trinity Force, but there's Virtuous Vigor, and his Sunfire Cape does him in. He loses his Home Guard enchantment because he rolled past the minions with the Sunfire running. Down in bottom lane, though, we have a little bit of an engage from both teams. Flash forward for the Flay, and Janna is so squishy, she goes down nearly instantly after getting hit by the CC. Ace in the hole, gonna finish off the job onto the Lux, and very nice flash from the Caitlyn. Dodges out the last bit of damage from the disintegration ray that would have brought her down, and there's the Dark Passage, pulling Aurelia to safety. This Vel'Koz just cannot catch a break here. Nobody going down as Thresh finishes him off with the hook. Dishonorable way to die for Vel'Koz there, as Dippen is now going to be chasing. And, ooh, this is bad. This is bad for blue team here. 3 very low health members. And a Crow storming Fiddlesticks nearby. Yeah, he's going to melt 1. He's going to melt 2. He's going to chase after 3. Zed, though, is here and trying to melt him down. There's the Zhonya's Hourglass to keep himself alive. And he falls in the end. Shadow Slash finishing that one off after he comes out of being a golden Crow man. But Terrorist Boss is going to be going down there as Kha'Zix to the AD carry Janna. I feel silly whenever I say it. As they're playing this very well. They're cutting off the Zed. However, he's just turning around and he's saying, well, this means Lux is all alone, so I can try and bring her down, but not quite enough. Actually finished off by the damage from Frost Queen's Claim. Now, that's something you don't see every day. Blue buff, going to be started up by Lux as well. Probably giving that over to Vel'Koz, or maybe the Lux support will take it herself, though it's a little bit of a risky proposition for her. She doesn't have enough mana, really, right now to bring it down too quickly, and she's going down very quickly to its. Trinity Force comes back around to help her out. As up in the top lane, we see Caitlyn. Ooh, that is a satisfying feeling. Piltover Peacemaker right over all of the minion wave, or all of, like, 2 minion waves worth of minions. That's just, it's delicious. It's delicious doing that. Anyways, we should take a look at some of the builds. It's been a little while since we did that. Thresh has finished his Trinity Force. That's interesting. Am I supposed to analyze this game? Is that what I'm supposed to do? I don't feel like I can realistically analyze this game. Scott 11 up in the top lane getting engaged on by the top lane Rammus. However, Dippen is here to fear the Thresh back. However, he's taking a lot of damage. Headshot does some work, and the crit finishes him off while he's draining. Virtuous Vigor doesn't really care about physical damage, though, right now. And is just going to keep walking at the face of this Caitlyn. Brings her down very, very fast. However, there are a lot of people from blue team around here, and that is Lux going to be falling to the ulti from Zed. And Virtuous Vigor still has no fear. Rolling right into 2 members of the enemy team and just taunting them, quite literally, back under his tower. But they are perfectly fine with chasing this. They have Ignite. They have Aurelia's True Damage. They can do some damage to that Rammus, as we see by the fact that they killed him. And Trinity Force and Terrorist Boss are at a duel in the middle lane, and Trinity Force wins! My lord, I did not expect that. Oh, it gets shut down right there after, though. The burn from, I believe, a red buff, and if not that, at least the Elder Lizard in Kha'Zix's inventory there, does manage to secure the kill back post-mortem for the bug from the Void. But honestly, I really don't... Ooh, Crowstorm coming out from Dippen. Just going to be using some minions, though. He flashes forward, but Yertle the Turtle takes a lantern, and that is sad. I'm sorry, Dippen. I'm sorry that Crowstorm didn't work out for you. But you got an early double kill, and you got that beautiful cleanup triple kill earlier. So I'm not feeling too bad for you. And we're going to go back to pushing the middle lane with Caitlyn here, and Virtuous Vigor doesn't want to go back to that. He's coming up to try and force her back away. He has lots of armor. He's working on a Randuin's after having finished that Sunfire, and he's rolling towards her. He's rolling back towards the minions, though, and he's going to bring those down. And, yeah, this fight's not really going very many places. Virtuous Vigor not going to take damage, and Caitlyn not going to let him get close enough to do anything, so... Ooh, nice net to avoid the Q there from Vel'Koz. His geometry was on point, but so were Caitlyn's reactions. Ooh, Tectonic Disruption not quite landing onto her, but the Q does. She gets slowed up. They don't want to dive that far under tower, though. Especially not with Thresh just showing up here. And speaking of Thresh, he has finished off his Boots of Mobility and Talisman of Ascension, and we're going to just ignore that other item in his inventory for right now, because those other 2 ones, they make sense to me. They make sense to me. That third yellow triangle thing, that doesn't. It doesn't at all. I don't see why you would want to do that on support Thresh, but it's being done. There goes in Zed with his ulti E-Teach. He's getting burned down pretty quick, though, and he does fall to the Vel'Koz damage. Yertle the Turtle comes in, but gets immediately exhausted and burnt down himself. Janna, AD carry, picking that up. As Vel'Koz falls, so there's the double kill for the Janna. There's the kill for the Rammus, I thought that was going to be a triple kill for Jana. I would have been really happy. Give her the triple! No! She doesn't quite get it. Kill goes over to Lux, but she does get double buffs, a double kill, and this turret, as well as a lot of gold. She's finished off the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv. If I'm perplexed by the Thresh build, I'm just completely out of idea. I'm completely speechless, as you can tell by the fact that it took me that long to come up with the word, and talking is what I do for job, that I'm speechless at this Jana's build, and especially at the efficacy of it. It is working. You can't deny that. It is arguably working right now. She's pretty behind on CS, to be fair. She's about 50 down in CS, which is a little bit to be expected in an AD carry Jana lane versus a Caitlyn. But to be fair, despite being 50 down in CS, she's 7-5. That just makes the 7-5 score a little bit more impressive. And she's going for the 1v1 here with the Aurelia, and those crits are hurting. Aurelia has no armor in her build right now. She went full magic resistance to deal with the damage from the Rammus, who does all magic damage aside from his auto attacks, by the way. And so got shredded to pieces by this Infinity Edge Static Shiv Jana build. There's the flash, avoiding the hook from the Valkazi. Walks forward, though, and flays him back. Ignite is dropped as well, and Dippen's coming in with the Crow Storm. Scott's in major trouble here. Kill goes over to Lux, as now they're going to be chasing after the Caitlyn through their jungle. Sorry about the mouse moving around on the screen there. Just accidentally twitched that a little bit. And there's the ace in the hole going back onto the Lux. She goes down very low. The Void Spikes do not quite connect, though, and Virtuous Vigor is here with the ball rolling. Taunts her just as she nets away. Gets close enough to finish that off with an auto attack, and God, somebody's calling me. Why does somebody have to be calling me right now? I'm sorry about that. Whew, so many things happening during this cast. Normally, people don't call me too often. My phone number is only given out to a few people, but I will call them back after this game. Fear not, I did not snub my friend. Stop calling me. I did not snub my friend. Yordle the Turtle getting taunted back under his own tower and going down. My lord! Those are some deadly feathers that Jana is throwing around. She does take a lot of damage, though. That turret is doing half of her health in just 2, maybe 3 shots. And Scott gets taunted up. Trinity Force is on a rampage. I just love that I got to firsthand see that death message in a game. Trinity Force is on a rampage. That's wonderful. Alright, so we should go into some of the builds here. Something that I'm interested in looking at is the fact that Jana just picked up a Brutalizer. I don't know where... So we'll try and puzzle this one out. So Jana AD carry, obviously, gets... Well, maybe not obviously. Gets AD from Eye of the Storm. Her shield gives AD, but we have Dippen going into the Crow Storm, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. The fear lands onto a minion. Dippen, no! Yordle the Turtle going to be able to simply walk away from this one. Oh, no, the slow does not quite land from the Lux's active items. Miranduin's, another active item, does land onto the Kazakhs in the jungle. That slow does land, and Virtuous Vigor is just walking straight under the tower. This is a Rammus with a Randuin's Omen, a Sunfire, Ninja Tabby, and a Chain Vest. He does, and a Cloth Armor. I mean, just in case. He doesn't care about towers, and that was a very nice flash from Aurelia, dodging out the final spark. As Rammus turns to taunt onto the Kazakhs, he's given up on chasing out this Aurelia, not going to be able to catch her, and the ace in the hole doesn't even matter. Kazakhs brings down the kill, though, off to the side. We do see the AD carry Jana doing so much work, but getting burnt down so insanely fast by the Zed. My lord, I think that's the squishiest AD carry I've ever seen. Flash and Fear onto E-Teach from Dippen, but he's not going to be able to follow it up with much. However, Scott is out of position. Thresh going to be making himself another kill for Adrian on this Lux pick. And I'm assuming that's Adrian and not Adri14N. Probably going to be Adrian. I can speak the internet language. I can speak the language of you people. Yordle the Turtle pushing up the lane as E-Teach comes to join him. And we're going to look at the build coming out of the mid lane here, actually, for both sides. The Zed Looks like he's going with a fairly late Hex Drinker, which I'm a little bit surprised at. There's a decent amount of magic. Actually, there's quite a bit of magic damage on purple team, so I shouldn't really be surprised at that. Ramus does primarily magic damage, as I said. The Fiddlesticks, obviously, does a good amount, as well as Vel'Koz and Lux. There's only one physical damage source, and it's the AD carry Janna. So, yeah, the Hex Drinker, I'm actually surprised that didn't come any earlier in his build. But he is going to be building into it right now, albeit a little bit late. Taunt goes on to the Zed. Gets taken down to about half hit points as now Virtuous Vigor is getting flayed back. Oh, that's not an Ignite, actually. That's the passive from the Morellonomicon in the Lux's inventory. That tricked me out a little bit. Oh, my lord! Half of Janna's health from a QE thrown out by the Caitlyn. But to be fair, half of Caitlyn's health from an auto attack from the Janna. So they're both very squishy, both doing a lot of damage. Dippen now onto the enemy team's tower, draining as he pleases. Thresh going to be falling in the end to the feather thrown out by the Janna, and that looks silly. Janna with that much attack speed just looks a little bit silly. Also, I never got to see Janna's crit animation before, so I guess we got that going for us this game, if nothing else. They're going to be pushing up onto the middle lane here. They're going to be going for this inhibitor turret. Teach is here trying to stop them. The knockup lands, though, and there's the auto attack. Follows him past the shadow swap. Ace going over to purple team, and they're going to keep pushing onto this inhibitor. They have no reason not to. Throwing feathers and rotten bananas at it. Bringing it down real quick. Ooh, Yertle the Turtle, though, coming in. Gets feared up. Gets auto attacked down by the Janna. Ace again. And that's the inhibitor falling. They keep underestimating the amount of damage this Janna can do, and I really don't blame them. It's not a very common pickup. I probably wouldn't really have a good feel for how much damage the Janna can do either at this point in the game. But we will move on. We will... Because blue team is a little bit behind here. I mean, well, actually, a little bit behind, I say, but they're 13,000 in the hole and more than 10 kills down, as well as having just lost their inhibitor. So they're a good bit behind, would be a more accurate way of phrasing it. Or you could say quite a large amount. That is a lot. You should give up now behind, but they shouldn't give up now. Never give up. Never give up, friends. It's not over until a Nexus explodes. But what they can do to get back in this game is actually part of what Zed's doing right now. Itemize for magic resistance. Now, I know that Janna has been shredding people, especially the Aurelia, who has gone with more magic resistance. But the rest of the team's doing magic damage, and that is 4-to-1 ratio in terms of champions. And Lux gets the double kill with Final Spark across 2 members. Yertle the Turtle going down, and this very well might be the end of the game right here. That is 3 members of the enemy team on 40-second death timers, and Virtuous Vigor can just run up with defensive ball curl and tank up these towers, no problem. Well, actually, maybe a little bit of a problem. He's brought down to about half health by, like, what, 9 hits from the towers? Yeah, that's... Only bringing him to half health, though, that's just insane. The amount of armor that this I almost called him a Vigor because of his name. Oh god, Trinity Force doing so much damage. You might say, and I've been sitting on this joke the entire game, you might say Trinity Force just did tons of damage. Both Nexus turrets falling. I hope you guys enjoyed that humor there, because I certainly did. Terrorist boss trying to come in and lay down some terror on the Trinity Force. The hook flashed away from. They're going to keep pushing out the middle lane here. Tosses back. The snare does stop the Kazakhs from chasing. Scott and Yertle the Turtle leading the front line here. Both get slowed up by the Frost Queen's claim. Vel'Koz tossing back his Q as well to keep them from doing it. But we have a 2-man Baron coming out from Virtuous Vigor, tanking it up and dipping, draining it up. Trinity Force showing up just at the end there to throw out a few of the deadly Janna feathers and bring it down. Smite secured by Fiddlesticks, and this is a really, really bad situation for blue team. They have no turrets left across the middle of the map, including their Nexus turrets. Hook lands across the wall. They might be able to make something happen here. Thresh is going over. He has the lantern back behind him. Caitlyn going to take that forward, but Thresh gets taunted and instantly destroyed by the Vel'Koz damage. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Zed going in with the death mark, and they are loading a ton into this Ramus, and this might not be the best decision here. He still hasn't gone down. Finally goes into Guardian Angel, but he's buying so much time for his team. Lux is here, tossing on her full combo. Legendary! And they just chased far too far onto the Ramus there. They threw so much of their resources at bringing down a full armor Ramus with a Guardian Angel. It's not worth it. He's got a Baron buff too. He's going to regenerate all that back up, as now we see the 80 carry Janna looking to finish off the game here, and that's going to be GG. Purple team wins. Monsoon pops just for the hell of it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you understood what was going on a little bit better than I did. Have a good one. Thank you guys for watching. Many thanks to Dippen for the use of his replay. Consider leaving a like, subscribe, or comment, any of those. And if you'd like your replay to feature in the series, just check the description. You can figure out how to do that down there. Anyways, thank you all for watching. See you all tomorrow.